and subscribe.
Tonight's the night. And it's going to happen again and again. Has to happen.
And that's what food is really about. Food is an economy. Anybody who tells you otherwise is either in on it or skinny.
And in the United States Congress, I will continue to fight for the people of Israel. Israel comes to me in my dreams. I see Israel's future, and I know that Israel will continue to exist.
We must make sure that you do not appear here again. Bailiff, whack his pee-pee.
Gold team, chain. Take your pizza and go back to Africa.
Don't let your ice cream melt while you are busy counting someone else's sprinkles. And I'm not talking about sprinkles.
Ladies and gentlemen, hope you're having a wonderful Friday night. Thank you very much for showing up here to hang out with me instead of loved ones or friends. But let's be real, who are we kidding? You don't have friends. That's why we're here, okay? And I do have to say that the GFL2 COD trailer goes harder than the actual COD trailer. Man, whatever it is, Modern Warfare 4 or something, whatever they're up to, like, could not be more disappointing COD slop in the year of our Lord 2026. Anyways, tonight we have many things to go over, a selected amount of gun news, industry news. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. We do have a few things to go over. Sig Sauer doing Sig Sauer things and possibly, maybe, theoretically going off once again where cops are involved. We have Palmetto State Armory / H&R releasing a rifle that is incredibly expensive and rare and not being able to please its customer base. You know, the thing that built them up to the level that they're at, and they kind of are tossing them to the wayside. C'est la vie. I'm sure their fans will be happy about that. FN acquires Accuracy International. Remington is dead. We already knew that. FN is also vague posting and a selected amount of rage bait for you all tonight. I hope you're all doing well. Let's see. Yes, the Sigcident. The Sigcident has once again happened. It never ends. It always endies. All right. So, well, let's get ahead and go ahead and get into the first thing, I suppose, which is just a bit of funny, I suppose, in a, not super funny. I did see that Weekend Gunner has the top comment on this post. 22,000 likes, by the way. Super funny. So, also funny, evil billionaire, trillionaire, gazillionaire Jeff Bezos, right? One of his rockets did a little oopsie. I think that this is bad for the rocket. I don't think it's supposed to do that. So this is the Blue Origin's New Glenn during a static fire test at Cape Canaveral Launch Complex in Florida. LC-36 appears to have suffered significant damage, with several towers and other structures entirely missing, likely to require months, if not over a year, of repair work by Blue Origin, NASA, and the U.S. Space Force. Yeah, there's some footage of people like out on boats in the water watching it go up. So I suppose this was supposed to be a static test fire, which technically it was. Only parts of it got airborne, but you know, as opposed to, using all of the fuel up in a long controlled, manner, decided to just dump it all at once. So that was very expensive firework display. Yes, very, very impressive. Now, the aftermath is that much of the pad and the surrounding structures have been reduced to ash or absolutely blackened, because that was a insane fireball there, right? So this is the aftermath. I'm sure they will have to rebuild a lot of the infrastructure around it. Not sure if it did any lasting damage to the pad itself, if they'll need to replace it, but yeah, a little bit of an oopsie for the, we'll watch it one more time just because it's cool. A little bit of an oopsie for their rocket, right? All right. Now, moving on to other interesting news, I suppose. This is the other side of the world. This is interesting footage coming out of Russia. I saw Mr. Guns and Gear post this today, and it looked quite interesting. This is them trying to repel a Ukrainian drone attack on their warships, and we get to see them using their laser cannons, their direct fire weapons, all sorts of fun things, and failed to take down what looks to be a Shahed drone, right? One of the really slow ones, and it hits their Admiral Essen while in port at the Novorossiysk naval base. So the blue beams, right? Those are their new laser weapons designed to stop drones. That's the point of them. They didn't seem very effective. I'm not sure if these are Jewish space lasers. They're definitely space lasers, though, for sure. But I'm pretty sure that's what the blue beams are that you see among the hail of tracers just shooting out into the ether, is trying to deter or mess up with the drone targeting system or possibly bring it down. Not sure. And now what's interesting is among the hail, absolute hail of bullets, we're not really seeing any impacts or anything that they're shooting at until the drone gets really close. I'm sure there was more than one drone. There was probably dozens or, perhaps up to 100 drones. But the one that does make it through does make an impact. And we even have video footage from the onboard camera on the drone itself. There you can see it make impact. And again, it's not like super fast. It's not a rocket. It looks to be going, 60, maybe even 100 miles an hour, but not that fast compared to rockets or other things. And their interceptors, while cool, while impressive, the hail of bullets and tracers and blue lasers seemed to be kind of cool visually. It didn't seem to be all that effective when it came to stopping the drones from hitting one of their flagships. POS says, those drones are like my sperm. One always gets through. Well, I'm happy you're here, though, I suppose, or happy your kids are here. They should be so lucky, right? All right. Now, before we get into the gun news, this was also causing a bit of a kerfuffle, so I decided to put him on the thumbnail. But we have the drippiest ICE agent of all time, wearing a $10,000, was it a Gator or Rolex or something, with his We the People tattoo on his forearm. A little gaudy for me, a little overboard in terms of the drip. But people were like, "Oh, we got Border Patrol, photo shoots at the border before, GTA 6 or something like that." So he's flexing this $10,000 watch. He's got the outfit on point, okay? He's got the tattoos. He is the Iceman, the Iceman of 2026. The 50K, yeah, this is true. The 50K signing bonus is showing, LOL. Isn't it up to 100K? Or was that for a certain amount of time they had a 100K sign on bonus? Is that Trench Grenade? No, it's way too skinny to be Trench. Took the sign on bonus and got him a rollie. True. Probably. I mean, listen, okay, I am not a watch guy. I am not a shoe guy. I don't get any of that. Like, I don't understand the technical difference between a $25 Casio and a $10,000 Rolex. Like, I don't know. It's not my thing. I don't get it. If you like it, that's fine. You can do your thing, but it's again not for me, not my thing. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and get into the incident, shall we? Because this Border Patrol agent, he might have a $10,000 watch, but he might also have a $10,000 hole in his leg if he's carrying a P320. Because once again, we have another incident to go over. That thing that does not happen has happened once again.
Police are investigating after a trooper's gun accidentally went off in Acton.
Although that is a good point. Sorry, before we get into this,
police are investigating.
Shoot Well and Often says, "I don't want to be murdered for my watch." It does seem stupid, doesn't it? Like, to flex like really expensive pieces while on the job. Like, unless you're just trying to like aura mog somebody or pocket mog somebody, it doesn't make a lot of sense on the job dealing with criminals, right? To be flaunting a piece of expensive jewelry, essentially, right? You're basically asking people, "Hey, please rob me." Like, if there's a target of the nice agent, it's going to be the one with the $10,000 watch, right? Seems stupid from a technical perspective.
Police are investigating after a trooper's gun accidentally went off in Acton yesterday.
5 investigators discovered the same model of gun is tied to dozens of questionable discharges here in Massachusetts and around the country. The latest was yesterday in Acton when a state trooper service weapon experienced what state police are calling an accidental discharge at the mounted unit barn in Acton. State police made the Sig Sauer P3.
Oh, we knew what it was. You didn't even have to show it to us. You didn't have to name it. We knew which one it was once you started talking about a police officer's handgun going off inside the holster. We knew what it was. You didn't need to show us, but thank you, I suppose.
Unit barn in Acton, state police made the Sig Sauer P320 their standard issue duty weapon back in 2022. 5 Investigates has been reporting for years about people saying it goes off without the trigger being pulled, sometimes causing serious injuries.
Or death. Don't forget the wrongful death cases that are also going on, right? How many is it up to now? What's the total number? 37, 38, 39, heading towards 40? Do I hear 50 cases of people suing the 320 for accidental discharges, uncommanded discharges, whatever you want to call it?
In a statement, a spokesperson tells us here at News Center 5, the Massachusetts State Police thoroughly investigates any incident where a firearm discharges. That process is well underway in this case and will determine the facts. Sig Sauer stands by the weapon, saying that the P320 cannot, under any circumstances, discharge without a trigger pull. The state trooper is now out of the hospital recovering at home.
Police.
Yeah, 2022 is a little bit late, but that's really before it got like mega popularized online and it was kind of past the blood-brain barrier of people who are terminally online versus like just normies, right? And even still, like, the P320's strongest aspect is the fact that it's cheap, right? I mean, it's dirt cheap, especially for these agencies, LEOs, and other people to adopt, which is why they still get so many contracts, right? When you're a pencil pusher, when you're a bean counter, and you can get your gun, lights, and holsters and everything else from one person and get it from a crazy steal, right? That's gonna look good to you, at least on paper. Everybody else who's in the know, who might be a little bit more mechanically inclined or just terminally online like the rest of us, is gonna say, yeah, can we get the M&P? Can we get the Glock? Yeah, spend the extra $100 or whatever it is, and please don't do that. Please do not strap me up with another 320. So here's the actual article. The gun the Massachusetts State Police say experienced an accidental discharge Wednesday, injuring a trooper at the Mounted Unit Barn in Acton. Is the same weapon tied to dozens of discharges in Massachusetts and around the country. Concerns have dogged the 320 for years, with lawsuits and other claims saying it goes off without the trigger being pulled, sometimes causing serious injuries. Despite the many concerns about these weapons, state police have made it their standard issue weapon in 2022, which means that there are 2,000 or more of them in service. And again, SIG says that it cannot. Now, I'm trying to think back for a moment. Of the two major settlements that we know of, or even the lost cases that we know of, I think one was like $11 million payout to the guy, and then one was a $3 million payout to the guy, I want to say. So they've lost two cases, two of the biggest ones. Now, they weren't exactly cut and dry like you might like to hear, so that it was just definitive that it was a 320 at fault, because the one where the police officer had it tucked into his pants while off duty, he alleged that even if he did accidentally actuate the trigger, the 320 was still negligently designed because it does not have a trigger safety, famously, even though I'm sure in the future it will, and that will just be a standard issue going forward. And everyone will just forget about that time where a major gun manufacturer put out a striker-fired handgun without a manual safety and without a trigger safety as well. Probably be the end of an era. In fact, I think still that the SIG P320 is the only striker-fired handgun that doesn't have a trigger safety. I think it might actually be the only one that has that. I'd have to look into that, but it might be in a league of its own, so to speak. But speaking in a league of its own, Palmetto State Armory / H&R decided to bring back a interesting option, I suppose. I don't know if it's ever been available on the civilian market. Well, at least a long time ago, back in I think the 50s, 60s, something like that. But they decided to bring out the T48. Now, the T48 was the variant of the FAL that went up against the AR-10 and the M14 for trials prior Vietnam, I want to say. So this is a long, long time ago. We're talking about almost 80 years ago at this point. So when they announced that, hey, through H&R, which is kind of their higher end retro line of manufacturing, even though it's all kind of manufactured relatively in the same area, almost by the same people. Not quite, some differences there, but it's still owned by PSA, so it has that PSA stink on it, even though it is technically H&R, right? So they were like, hey, we're going to bringing back the T48 for a very limited run, which made people upset, because what do Palmetto State Armory fans want? Like, they want the MP5 for cheap. They want the STG 44 for cheap, right? You got your entire audience by selling them cheap rifles, cheap pistols, deals on everything else, cheap ammo, right? They don't want to spend north of $3,000 on a T48 that's limited edition, so no one's actually going to be able to buy it. In fact, it's like the exact opposite of the average PSA consumer. The average PSA consumer, they want the SCAR for 70% off and you get a Jackal, right? They want a Glock for 50% off, so you get a dagger, right? They want a functioning AR, but you don't get that. You get it for, you get a semi-functioning AR most of the time if it's assembled properly, which is always skeptical. And you get an AK that may or may not turn into a grenade if you get it up to a high enough round count, but AK people don't shoot, so it doesn't really matter all that much. Now, Palmetto State Armory and H&R have officially introduced the H&R T48, a faithful reproduction of the historic rifle originally submitted during the 1950s military rifle trials alongside the AR-10 and M14. Designed as a collector-grade firearm, the T48 recreates the classic battle rifle styling operating system of the original prototype while utilizing newly manufactured US-made components. So again, it is a reproduction. It's not like old receivers or anything else like that. It is a complete recreation with modern parts, hopefully modern machining and assembly to go along with it. So back in the 1950s, it competed against the AR-10 and M14. Ironically enough, playing the whataboutism game, if or the what if game, I should say. If the T-48 had won versus the AR-10 or M14, we could have had a FAL dominated world. You know, the FAL could literally be what the AR is now, right? If every country in the West had the FAL and that was their standard gun, basically, we would see as much advancement in FAL tech as we have in the AR world, basically. And the FAL could be the standard operating system or the standard building blocks of what we have now for a fighting rifle. The T-48 became well known for its FAL-inspired design, robust construction, and piston-driven operating system. So, 21-inch barrel, 308 chamber, 20-round metric pattern magazine, short-stroke piston operating system, left-side charging handle. Man, that's come back in vogue, hasn't it? With all the new SIG firearms, they all come with left-side charging handles. Adjustable front sights, of course, integrated carry handle, flash hider, Parkerized steel finished, and Amish walnut wood finisher. Amish walnut wood finisher. All right. All right, so now limited production, it'll officially launch today as of 4 hours ago. 4 hours ago, it has launched. And from what I've seen, I can't go to the website and find out. From what I've seen, it has already sold out. So it is gone. It is over. So if you wanted it, that's too bad. Now let Cameron here explain it to you. I can't show him while he's doing his talking, but I'll let him explain it in his own words, and then we'll look at the comments, because the response to the video from his own fans, right, from Palmetto State Armory's own fans, is not good. They are not happy with the fact that you brought back something cool, but you made it limited edition, and now none of us get to play with it. So thanks for nothing, I guess.
Cameron here from Palmetto State Armory, and today I'm excited to show you something new from our friends over at H&R. It's the T-48.
Let me skip that. No, I don't need to get copyright struck on the music as well.
Submitted in the 1950s to trials to compete against the AR-10 and the M14. It is chambered in 7.62 NATO and feeds from a 20-round metric pattern magazine. It is built with newly made USA manufactured parts. It comes with a 21-inch barrel and includes a flash hider, an adjustable front sight, an adjustable rear sight.
Also, I'm 99% sure that that is the CAK flash hider. KAK, by the way. I'm 99% sure that's who made them. I'm pretty sure I have this variant of flash hider sitting out in my shop right now. So that's probably who ended up making that for them.
Hider, an adjustable front sight, an adjustable rear sight, and U.S. sourced Amish walnut wood. The T-48 operates off a short stroke piston system and features a left side charging handle. It also comes with a carry handle. All of the steel is Parkerized and the wood is...
I mean, it's like, for you FAL guys, it looks nice, right? Like, it's not terrible. The carry handle has a certain aesthetic to it. It's very, well, mechanical, for lack of a better word. Like, there's a lot of old character to it, you know, like the post World War II era weapons, where they just have a lot more going on the exterior, whereas like the ARs and some other things are very devoid of controls on the outside, right? They're very simplistic on the outside. But with something like this, you've got, you know, stuff sticking out everywhere and screws and swivels and charging handles, and it looks a little bit more complicated and has more character than like a standard AR, if you will.
Oil finished. The H&R T-48 will...
Oh boy, I absolutely hate the FAL, says M26 Lemon Grenade. All right.
Officially launch Friday, May 29th at 4:30 p.m. Because the T-48 is a collector's grade item, they're going to be limited in production, so make sure you don't miss out.
And it's that last little part that basically upset everyone. They were like, oh, you made it limited edition. You made it like really high quality, so now none of us can afford to buy one. So limited production. Yep, that's what I expected. Limited production. Well, there goes all of my interest. It's not going to be a mainstay item. They're literally going to bring it out, sell a few dozen of them, I would guess. Like, that seems silly to me, to invest in the machining to get the receivers and the wood and all of that stuff done and not keep it around in some way, shape, or form. Now, maybe at some point in the future, they'll do another run. Maybe they'll introduce a version that's not collector's grade. So it'll be, you know, maybe it won't have the same wood. Maybe it'll have polymer. Maybe it'll have, you know, a more economical manufacturing process. So it's not quite as historically accurate, but it's more economical to produce. But Again, Palmetto State Armory and limited quantity 3,200 $3,000 rifles don't really go hand in hand, right? The average PSA fan is like, what are you doing? Like, I want to give you money, not, I don't want you selling like cool stuff to collectors only. It's like with the STG 44. It's like they want an STG 44 and they want to spend 1,500 on it. They don't want to spend 5,000. They don't want to spend $7,000 on it, right? Same thing when originally they were going to be making the MP5 like a decade ago, right? They're like, oh, we're going to bring the MP5 to market and it's going to be 1,500. Well, can't do that. The X9, they canceled the X9. Is the 5.7 out yet? Is the X5.7 out yet? You know, limited production, figures lol, still more than a real Sturmgewehr, though. True. Limited number going to be $2,000 plus. It's 3,000 plus. Limited means many of us can't afford it, right? And again, this is Palmetto State Armory's own fans. They're not happy with this. They don't want this. I'm literally hating the limited production stuff. Will this come back at some point? Yep. They don't like this. Boo, limited production. It would be cool if PSA made the X57. Limited production is such an insult. Again, your fans want to give you money, okay? They want the product. They don't want to be bidding with somebody on Gunbroker for $6K tomorrow, right? All right, my number one bucket list dream gun drops on my birthday, but it's limited edition and collector's grade, so I couldn't afford it anyways. Oh well. Can't wait to have this at a 10K price tag. Limited production figures. We could have had the STG 44. PSA's 18th firearm they've announced and not put out for sale yet. I got real excited till I heard limited production. Man, I want a FAL so bad. Hopefully someone else brings a not limited production to life. It really shouldn't be limited production. Don't understand spending all the money on tooling just to have it limited production. Boo. Again, Palmetto State Armory's own fans are going to wise up at some point, okay? The PSA has a general goodwill in the industry somehow. I think it's just by virtue of putting out so much inexpensive product for people to consume, and people don't shoot enough or know enough to understand the difference between something like PSA and a higher quality option. So just because of that fact, they have a lot of goodwill. But even PSA fans are starting to wake up to the nonsense, to the garbage. They've seen prices creep up, you know, across all of their product lines, basically. Like, what does the Saber AK go for now? Is the starting price like 1,500, which is like, you know, double what a Wasser is for generic Wasser components. Now, wouldn't that be awful? Task Force Tater says, surprised it's not an AR upper and lower with a T48-ish furniture. That would be hideous. That would be awful, but very funny. Very, very funny. Yeah. Weird looking X9. People asking about the X9, X57. Palmetto State Armory's own fans, they want to be able to buy the product. You know, they want to be able to bring it home. They want to look at it. They want to say, oh, I got the thing. But they can't because PSA is not interested in actually, I guess, catering to their own audience. Shadow Force says PSA pours wish they could waste more of their cash on PSA trash. Well, that was actually a really good rhyme there. The Jackal fall. Yeah, actually, that's true. Just take the Jackal. It's already a piston gun. And then just put like phallish looking phallic furniture. Is it phallic or phallish? I need to know. Is it phallic furniture or phallish furniture on a Jackal? Because you could definitely say it's a phallic shape, right? That works, right? Yeah, I think that's fair. All right. Well, let's get some of, since I'm just by myself today, let's get to some of your guys' comments before we move on. Stratagem Branch for $20. Thank you very much, sir. That is a mega base of you, good sir. Says FAL in desert was the first gun I ever shot. In the desert, like in the desert overseas, was the first time you shot a gun, or in the desert here in the US? I don't think I'll be honest with you guys. Maybe at a trade show I've shot a FAL, but I don't know if I've ever shot a FAL. I've handled them before, but I don't know if I've ever shot any FAL variant. Might need to change that. Thank you, Stratagem Branch. Appreciate that, sir. Thank you, thank you. Amrai Boy for 2 says T48, same specs as the Britty version, half the cost at DSA. Oh, what is is because I know DSA does stuff, but DSA, what do they charge though for theirs? Is it actually 6K? If so, that's insane. But again, I'm not in the FAL world at all, so I couldn't even tell you what a good part or what a good price is on a FAL. Like, I honestly I have no idea. What does a FAL go for? I'm curious. Maybe $3,000 is a good price. I have no idea. Let's see. Atlantic Firearms. I mean, they're 13 to 15, so it is actually double the money. Yikes. Whoa, yikes. Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, sir. Pauly B for 5 says, I am to the FAL what Don Draper is to the FAL. I don't think about you at all. I would still buy an STG 44 from PSA, but they don't want my money. Again, PSA has, in my opinion, failed to deliver on the most anticipated, the most desired aspects of their retro line, right? When they started to say, oh, we're going to be bringing older firearms back to the market, the most exciting, the most difficult options, they've always failed on, right? That is their track record. Bullshark for 5 says, anything PSA makes is bottom tier. DSA already paved the way for quality FALs. And again, you can go pick them up and they're 15. You know, they're not crazy expensive. Bullshark for 10 says, already got a G3 wood furniture, would love a FAL with the same. What can I say? I'm a sucker for 308s, especially Cold War era. Yeah, I never got the Cold War bug, really. You know, I'm not really a retro person. You guys know this. Famously, I'm not a retro person. So to me, it looks like any other outdated rifle that's big and heavy and shoots 308. It's like, okay, doesn't really do much for me, and I wouldn't spend like a ton of money on it. Pauly B for 2 says, the FALverse. Yes, the FALverse. Thank you. Tuss the Third says, can I buy one from Copper Customs for 4X? Well, listen, when they go on sale on Gunbroker tomorrow, because they sold out within 10 minutes, literally within 10 minutes, you might be able to get one. Maybe they bought the entire stock. How funny would that be if Copper Customs bought the entire stock of T48s from PSA? So now you have to go to a Copper Customs to go buy them all. That would be very funny. Thank you. And then we'll end with this one for now. Deer Hunter, member for 8 months. Thank you, sir. Says, have a good stream, gents. 1 Thessalonians 5:26. And he gives a little kiss because 1 Thessalonians 5:26 says, greet all God's people with a holy kiss. Mwah. That's right. That's for you guys out in the audience. Thank you, Deer Hunter. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Also, I did forget to get to a bunch of your guys' super chats yesterday. So we will be reading those. I have all of them saved. Worry not. I will make good on all of those. I apologize for ending the stream early on Wednesday because I was, a little tired after 4.5 hours. Over on Ko-Fi, though, we'll get to this one. For 10, Waifus Enslaved Jimmy's Unrustled says, haven't been around because I discovered Mormon artifacts when trying to hide my failed Pitbull Trench Pitbull Human Centipede. Planning on trying again with the Foyd mod from Risky's old Telegram chat. Quitters never win. You need help. Waifus Enslaved, Jimmy's Unrustled. You need help, man. You need some help. All right. Yeah, that was a sentence. That was a sentence for sure. Sentence of all time. All right. Bojangle says, for 5, I'll let you use my FAL. Oh, well, that's nice. As long as it's not phallic in shape, Bojangle, I'd use your FAL, but now I'm a little skeptical. All right. Well, let's get to FN VEG posting and FN Buying Accuracy International, right? These things are kind of out of my wheelhouse as far as products go. Right, I'm not an Accuracy International guy. I'm not a PRS guy. Maybe at some point I'll have to get into Spark matches or SPRs or PRS matches, something like that. But as of right now, I have thankfully been away from all of that. Blissfully standing at arm's length from all of the nerds that are super into this, because as much as like USPSA is a game and a certain skill set, it's a very low entry fee, right? Because you can just show up with a Ruger RXM and a red dot and a couple mag pouches, and you can basically do everything that you need to do, right? That's all you need. You need like $500 worth of gear and you could show up. PRS match, not quite the same. You're probably running a multi-$1,000 rifle and a chassis. You're probably running a multi-$1,000 laser rangefinder on top. You're probably running multi-$1,000 worth of glass. You're probably running, bipods and bags and accessories and reloading or whatever else you're doing for ammo. That it just adds so many layers of complexity and cost at every stage of the way versus show up to the USPSA match, shoot 5 stages in 2 hours and go home, right? So much easier to get into. So again, thankfully, this does not affect me as of right now. FN acquires Accuracy International. Accuracy International, renowned UK-based precision rifle manufacturer, is set to become a part of the FN Browning Group. Responsible for iconic designs such as the Arctic Warfare AWM, the AXMC, the company was founded in 1978. The acquisition will see Accuracy International continue to operate under its own brand within FN Browning Group, and it comes at an interesting time as the British military seeks to overhaul its small arms inventory with procurements of new service rifles, machine guns, and precision rifles planned into the 2030s. I think over the last couple of years, we've seen a rather steady consolidation in the gun industry globally, right? We have Beretta moving in on Ruger, now owning 25% of Ruger and having multiple seats on the board. We have Ruger buying Anderson before that, and now we have FN picking up Accuracy International. We don't have a lot of expansion, and maybe that's just a sign of the times in terms of the global economy being down for the moment. But we are certainly seeing a consolidation in certain sectors of the gun industry. The deal will give FN a strong foothold in the market segment it has not previously engaged in: long-range precision rifles. Accuracy International brings a unique and highly specialized expertise in precision rifles that perfectly complements our defense and security solutions, said Julian Compier, CEO of FN Browning Group. He added the transaction also directly contributes to the UK's strategic autonomy in defense and reflects our long-term commitment to the United Kingdom and a role as a trusted industry partner to the UK Ministry of Defence. And here we have some classic British teams with AI rifles. Very nice, very nice. The famous story goes that Accuracy International were just 3 men in a shed when their Arctic Warfare was adopted by the British Army as the L96A1. In 1984, this success ensured that the future of the company, and today Accuracy International employs around 100 staff and has provided rifles to military and law enforcement customers around the globe. Tom Irwin, director of Accuracy International, described joining the FN Browning Group as a strong strategic opportunity for Accuracy International. We share the same culture of engineering excellence. Sure. FN handguns would like to say a word, okay? We share the same culture of engineering excellence, performance, and dependability. This agreement enables us to preserve what defines Accuracy International while benefiting from the scale, global footprint, and long-standing institutional relationships of FN Browning Group. Intriguingly, FN's announcement of the acquisition included an official comment from Colonel William Waugh, the funny name, Waugh 2000, head of the British Army's close combat procurement team, saying the mod has a long history of working with both FN and Accuracy International, with some of our most important small arms capabilities being procured from both companies. The joining of these companies is great news for the Ministry of Defense and gives us continued access to cutting-edge capabilities. And you can see some of their cooler setups from around the year. I think they were at SHOT Show this year. I think we went over there and coon-fingered some of their guns this year. They're quite nice. They're quite sought after, especially by some super nerds that are out there. No value was announced for the acquisition, and the agreement remains subject to regulatory approval. This strategic move provides investment for Accuracy International and a key missing component to FN that helps to expand FN's portfolio as more and more small arms companies shift to offer a complete package of design and manufacturing capabilities to customers. FN now have 2 manufacturing facilities in the UK, with major UK small arms procurement imminent. It will be interesting to see if this new strategic acquisition influences the UK's upcoming decisions. Bum, bum, bum. So, but how are you guys feeling about this? Okay, because I don't have a negative view of FN. I've never really shot an AI, so I can't really comment on them. I know that they're well regarded within the space that they occupy, but again, it's not my space. FN, however, I don't like any of their handguns. I don't think they've ever made a good handgun. Their rifles are fine. You know, the Scar perhaps a little overhyped at the time, but I think it eventually found its niche and it does have certain strong suits. The new Scar Gen 2s are again just basically a straight upgrade from the previous iterations, and they're better in basically every way. They've kind of fixed some of the major issues of the Scar when it came out again 20 years ago. Their ARs are a decent value. They're good components slapped together here in America. I don't have any complaints about them. They're actually kind of underrated as far as like good ARs go for a good price. Central Sands Defense probably takes this personally. FN is going to tank the AI name and not happy with the consolidation of FN. And where are my PRS guys at? Where are my chassis nerds at? Okay. So Central Sands Defense says absolutely not. Are Jake and too many choices going back and forth again? Don't hate on my FNX 45. No, I'll hate on it. I will absolutely hate on it. No problem. Dude, I forgot that the P90 existed. Oh man, if they again, FN, if they just updated the P90 like at all in the last 30 years, has the FN been around? The FN P90, has it been around for 40 years now? That's a good question. But this is the problem with FN. They do not update their stuff like ever. Yeah, no, it's been around for almost 40 years now. It is a retro firearm. The P90 has been around since the late 1980s. So we're approaching the 40th anniversary of the P90. So, I mean, what's funny is, ironically, the person doing the most innovation with the P90 is Strike Industries. Like, FN, please do something. It took them 20 years to update their flagship Scar, right? Can we please update the P90? Can we get a good handgun, please? What did they bring out? The 309, the internal hammer fired, like budget FN. It's like, oh, we made an FN, but worse. It's like, thanks for that, bro. Thanks for that, bro. All right. Yeah, so Hop says the FN TAC-3 is one of the best sleeper rifles on the market, especially for the money, because it's funny. It's like the same quality as the Sons of Liberty Gunworks L89 for $500 less, because I think it's basically the exact same part selection minus the barrel for $500 less, because it uses the same drive lock rails and whatnot. But again, it's $500 cheaper than the L89, so it's a pretty good value as far as that goes. Task Force Tater says, hard to make updates when you have contracts, to be fair. Well, maybe I would get that for the Scar, but the Scar was not like the biggest contract winning rifle of all time. There was, again, a point in time where it was super hyped. It got the SOCOM contract. It's going to do all these things. And then it kind of slid into a different role and really never got full adoption like people were thinking. The P90 certainly does have roles in, like, you know, Secret Service and some LEO and protection units and stuff like that. But it's also not like super widespread. So I'm sure in the last 40 years, they could have updated the chassis like once, please. Like, you know, it's been a long time without any major functional updates to the P90, like almost 40 years at this point. Jeez. FN barrels are pretty good. Yeah, FN barrels are pretty good. They're pretty well renowned. That's one of the things they do well. They're LMGs and whatnot. FN's best gun is the M240 Bravo. Well, I mean, maybe for you guys, not for me though. All right, now here's another thing. This is going to dovetail nicely into the FN AI Accuracy International acquisition. FN on their YouTube, they uploaded this video yesterday saying, "Are you ready?" ? And it's a 14-second long video. They are literally hyping something. Let me go check their page to make sure they didn't drop the video today. Okay, no, they didn't. So they are now, because they've come out with a couple interesting things. So they have the FN PureView, which is their quote unquote holographic or wave view red dot sight. So that's interesting. That's new. Not really their tech, but that's interesting. That's new. But then they posted this video again yesterday, 14 seconds long, going over or trying to tease something. SpongeBob FN collab. Yes, absolutely. See, now here's the thing. I'll let it finish, but there's nothing else really. So really, you don't get to see much of anything. Although that looks to me to be a charging handle, right? That's a charging handle. Right? Am I crazy, guys? That's a charging handle. That's what we're looking at right there. When you go frame by frame. That's a charging handle. Okay. 2nd of June, 2026. We've got a Picatinny rail on top. I think it's going to be the Lick or something similar to that. If it's another generic AR, I'm going to like flip my lid. Why would you do this to me? Why? A piston AR, maybe. Ridged charging handle? Possible. Piston AR. Okay. So yeah, we got a full pick rail on top. Very exciting. Feature standard since 2011. Got an M-LOK rail. Okay, so it's like, this looks pretty AR, right? I'm not crazy. It looks AR. As it doesn't look like a fat rail. It doesn't look like a tall rail. It's like an AR. Now, here's the one thing that's off, though. If this is the side of the receiver, why is there a screw in the side of my AR receiver? Another AR, but this one is different. If it's an AR, I'm immediately disregarding anything FN does. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, it's got a rear charging handle for sure. That's what that is. But it also has screws in the side of it. So is it the Lick? Because let me pull up the Lick if you guys don't know what the Lick is. We've covered it on the channel before. But yes, I'm over 18. Gosh dang it, these guys suck. So this is the Lick, right? Right here. This rifle on the right, which is in testing right now with 6.5 by 43. So this is the Lick. But this is not what that is, clearly. The other rifle has a rear charging handle. It still has like the screws in the side somewhere, but it seems to me to be very different from this. Maybe it's like a civilian version of this, right? So it's a piston AR without the side charger, with a rear charger, and it's a little bit more trim with, obviously not in 6.5 by 43. But if it's this rifle, but a quote unquote civilian version, that would be kind of cool, right? It's different. I know, dude, half the people are like, piston AR, thank you. The other half are like, piston AR, really? Again? In front of my salad? What is going on right now? So, but it's got screws in the side. So is it a standard upper receiver? Is it special? Is it a Lick, a variant of the Lick? Something different is coming. Dude, I love the just playing it in full. It's like this is a trailer to like Steven Spielberg's new Disclosure Day movie. Sorry. The Lick is the cartridge, not the rifle. The rifle's like the IWS or something, isn't it? It's like the Lick is the light infantry something, and then this one here, light improved carbine caliber or whatever it is, carbine cartridge. And then IWS is the actual platform itself. Okay, my bad. It's part of the Lick program, which is funny. And again, that looks just like a rear charging handle, unless I'm crazy. That's just a rear charging handle. So actually, see, it's dark and I'm just total conjecture right now, but it looks like a tall receiver. So I'm guessing it is some flavor, some variant of this thing, which would be cool. Okay, it's like if we can get some of the next gen, quote unquote, next gen rifles on the US civilian market, I'd be very happy about that, because we got the Beretta NARP, right? The next, what is it? The new assault rifle platform. That's the NARP. The FN IWS, which is what we're looking at right here. The M7 is already on the civilian market, but nobody really likes it. The Spear LT is out there. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm sure there's a couple others that I'm missing, but the Beretta NARP and the FN IWS would be the next two of interest for us, I'm pretty sure. The Beretta LARP? True. Bringing back the F2000 with a rear charging handle, you're insane. A bullpup with a rear charging handle, please never comment again. Your ideas are going straight into the dustbin of history, okay, bro? But that was a couple days ago. Actually, let me read the comments on this. I wonder if the comments on this video are funny. They've got to be. Scar shotgun? No. Something that isn't an AR-15 or Stanag platform rifle or bullpup? Well, it's probably Stanag pattern. Top mounted charging handle. It's an AR derivative. Possibly modern FAL. FN MP7 and 9mm. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Accuracy International? Probably not. No, I don't think Accuracy International is going to be playing around in this market, unless I'm crazy. Lick or a new PCC. Hey, this guy's calling it the Lick too, okay, bro? Relax. We're all calling it the Lick here. FAL? No. New FAL? That'd be interesting. Not the MRGGA. They don't have an MRGGA platform, do they? I mean, I know they have the SCAR, obviously, but they didn't win any of the MRGGA or S platforms, because I think LMT got the A and Galaxy got the S. Don't ask me what the difference is. I think one's the SPR and one's the Assaulter platform or something like that. But there is FN VEG posting for us. We'll find out in 4 days. 3 days. No, 4 days. 4 days. We'll figure out what FN is teasing us with. Speaking of teasing, Remington has been teasing their creditors because they are still unpaid and they are heading for foreclosure. Now, I suppose it's sad to some of you guys out there who are a little bit older in the industry who maybe grow up with Remington being around. Remington, for me, has never been a part of my gun culture, so to speak, because as far as I'm concerned, Remington Defense made a cool variant of the ACR with a special rail and a magnesium lower, but that's the only thing that I've ever been interested in was the Remington Defense ACR. Outside of that, I've never owned or shot or been interested in a Remington product. I know you guys are going to say like, oh, the 870 and all this. And it's like, to me, it's like, okay, that's just a pump action shotgun. Like I don't actually care that much, right? That's not that exciting to me. All right. So since 2021, arms manufacturer Remington has been planning to relocate its manufacturing facility to LaGrange from Ilion, New York. While Remington is America's oldest firearm manufacturer, this version is like a startup formed after the parent company's 2020 bankruptcy. The ammunition division was acquired by Vista Outdoors, and the firearms division, Rem Arms, was split with plans to set up shop off Sewin Boulevard in LaGrange. Ram Arms is owned and operated by Round Hill Group LLC, a private company run by investors Richmond Italia and Scott Surup. All right. I'm sure these investors will be great at running a gun company. While still constructing the facility off Sewin Boulevard, Rem Arms has reportedly not paid many of its creditors. What makes matters worse is that the property is expected to be up for foreclosure on June 2nd. That's actually funny. The same day that FN is revealing its new, game-changing, something different rifle, that property is going up for foreclosure for Remington Arms. So the duality of gun companies in 2026. There are reportedly 3 futures ahead for Remington Arms. Pay up millions in capital and bills owed to creditors to push forward on construction, foreclosure the building, and lose millions in investment, or get a new buyer to take over the company. Chris Ripley, one of the creditors who is still owed money from Remington Arms, is looking for a solution for all of the unpaid creditors. Ripley has planned to give a presentation at a town hall at Delevant to creditors on Thursday, but has stopped with a reported lawsuit. So Patrick Calloway vouched for Ripley and investor Mulford Waldrop in front of the creditors instead. Calloway cited a friendship with Waldrop that spans over 35 years and strong business reputation for both Ripley and Waldrop. Calloway reported over 250 creditors are still owed money in LaGrange, Georgia, and the country, amounting to about $11 million in total. He said Ripley and Waldrop will be prepared to pay off all creditors on day one of being in business. Scott Stokes is one of the unpaid creditors. He said his company, Southeastern Site Development, which works for a subsidiary of the Remington Arms, is still owed about $2 million. Stokes said he has filed a lien on the Remington Arms facility after asking to be paid for over a year and cited many stories of other creditors not being paid. So Remington Arms, the saga continues, and it continues to get sadder and more pathetic and more hopeless. And just at some point, the name needs to die, or some other company needs to come in and swoop them, save them from themselves, essentially, right? What's another one? CZ, who did they pick up? CZ bought Colt. Beretta's moving in on Ruger. Ruger got Anderson. Accuracy International bought up by FN. Who else? Who is going to pick up the banner for Remington Arms? Who's going to do that? Remington done. Reming done. Yeah, no more Remars. Rem done. Very possible. All right. Well, it's TM Louise says it's even funnier the second time. That's true. Very, very true. Well, hey, okay, everybody who's upset about all the gun news, I apologize. That's it, okay? We're done with gun news, and now we're going to get into the rage bait, and I assure you, it is about as rage-inducing as rage could be, okay? But before we get to that, your support, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Lightsport for 2 says Wangaf ICE agent. That's right, dude. Although we're not sure his actual ethnicity, okay? He could very well be a light-skinned Hispanic. Many such cases. Hernandez, okay? Hernandez, deporting Hernandez, getting attacked by Hernandez, and then going in front of the Honorable Judge Hernandez, right? That's the situation. Thank you, Lightsport. Appreciate that, sir. All right. Over Subarctic Cycle for 2 says, rest in peace, Remington. Gone, but not forgotten. Well, again, for me, it's like, you got any more of those Remington Defense ACRs laying around, or no? Thank you, Subarctic Psycho. Sea Runner for 2 says, there's Jews in Texas, I can tell. There's Jews in Texas, I can tell. There you go. Thank you, Sea Runner. Amrai Boy for 5 says, Leighton Gage is like a PSA doubling the price of a DSA foul. Well, you are not wrong, sir. Thank you very much for the 5. Polybee for 5 says, still patiently waiting for the arrival of the PSA STG 44. That is never happening. Never, ever going to happen. You have a better chance of flying to Syria, finding a used stash or a hidden stash of STG 44s and importing them back into the United States than PSA ever coming out with something you actually want. Thank you, Polly B. Appreciate that. Cody Fisher for $20.
We're going to have to come over to your house and kill you. No two ways about it.
Thank you, Cody. I appreciate that. Very base of you. Throws up the crosses. Thank you, Cody. Hope you're having a good day out there. Maybe not so good now that Accuracy International is owned by FN. But all right, Ray Holocaust for 11 months says, I want to shake your hand at SHOT Show this year. Well, listen up. With a name like Ray Holocaust, I mean, it's a trustworthy name. Why not? I shake lots of people's hands. Thank you, Ray Holocaust. Amrai Boy for 2 says, Lightspore, I don't know you rounded up the Browns. Listen, okay, brown on brown violence is a epidemic in this country, and we've got to figure this out. Thank you, Amrai Boy. Central Sands Defense for 5 says, my work watch is a $15 Amazon watch. Why risk your own expensive items at work? Wild. That's what I'm saying. It's like, this is either like you're trying to flex on the poors or the people you're arresting, or you're just like kind of retarded. Like, it's very Wigger coded behavior, right? It's like you're trying to act black, and it's gross, right? It's very Wigger coded. Thank you, CSD. Appreciate that, sir. And my boy for 2 says, I don't think you want to stand. DSA made them for PSA. Oh, that's even worse, isn't it? Wait, so why are they 2.5 times the cost? Because they're over double the cost. The furniture? Why are they charging double the money? The furniture? The finish is different? Special receivers? Why? And if that's true, why wouldn't DSA just keep making them? Why wouldn't DSA put them out, next week for like $600 less? Split the difference, because I'm sure there was like a $600 markup at least to PSA, so the PSA could clear some money. But if DSA can make them, why doesn't just DSA make them? Sell them on their own site or sell them to wherever, right? I don't know. Thank you, Amrite Boy. Appreciate that. CM Scar for 2 says, my 509T has 6,000 rounds, 0 malfunctions. Suck it, pores. Well, listen, I'm glad that you like the handgun, right? But that's the same thing as somebody saying, like, my Ruger RXM, which is $350, has 10,000 rounds with no malfunctions. It's like, that's fine, right? That's good. That's what we want to see. But just, I'm half and half in agreement with Mr. Guns and Gear when he says we're in a golden age of firearms, because like you can put like 10,000 rounds on a bunch of different firearms and they're kind of just all going to work when it comes to polymer framed striker fired handguns. That's kind of the beauty of it, right? So there has to be something that delineates them from just they go bang when I pull the trigger, right? Because I feel like that's like the floor. That should be the bare minimum. That should not be an exciting thing. That should not be praiseworthy. Sorry. That should be the baseline. That should be the minimum expected result. But thank you, CM Scar. I appreciate that. Bullshark for 5 says, the only thing I dislike about Belgium is they allowed mass immigration. Well, I've got bad news for you. That's a lot of countries. A lot of countries, Bullshark. Thank you for 5, though. Appreciate that. CM Scar for 2 says, my 509 tactical, that is not Holosun. Yeah, I figured you were talking about an FN handgun, not the Holosun optic, which also, it's like, my Holosun optic's gone 10,000 rounds without failing. It's like, well, it should, though, right? It should. Yeah, it's what it's supposed to do. Thank you, CM Scar. Appreciate that, sir. Amorite Boy 4-2 says, stares at you and FN Browning high power. Well, listen, you like what you like. You got your eclectic retro taste because you think it's cool because you saw it. It's like, you know, those mid-90s Smith & Wesson steel framed, you know, double stack 9s. I don't even know their names, right? It's like letters or something or numbers or something, but people like them. That's fine. I don't care. There's older things that are, you know, not quite as useful in the modern era. Thank you, Amrite Boy. Appreciate it. Bamani Igloo for 5 says, Focus has committed USPSA stolen valor. Trench told me he's a GM and you're D-class. Well, I often get this, and it's really funny, right? When people are, I know you're not, I know you're memeing, but to me, it's just funny, right? Because I can just show up my classification record, and it's really funny, right? So I am a, can I just share this screen? I wonder if this will just pop up over here. Let's see. Oh, shoot, I can't do it there. My bad. Just for the record, because somebody's like, oh, you're not a very good shooter. You suck. And it's like, okay, whatever, bro. But you can look up my number, A167059. You can go down here at Carry Optics, 95, GM, M and Limited Optics. It's like, all right, whatever, bro. Thank you, Bomani Igla. I appreciate it. It's just a flex at this point. Judd McGill, like I had somebody arguing with me today in the comments of some video. I forget which one. Maybe it was the Riser video. And they were like, you don't look like a very good shooter. You look like you suck. Like these SEALs, they would BTFO you in a shooting competition or something. And I'm like, no, like I am a GM. I'm not very good, but I am a GM. And like they're like not that. And so any competition you can come up with, rifle, pistol, like I will beat them. I will. Like I'm far better than they are. And that's not a flex because I'm not particularly good. It's just a detriment on them. Now, if you put them into a physical competition, of course, they're way stronger, way faster, much better shape than I am, infinitely better. That's a different argument. I just talk about shooting. Chud for 2 says, too many choices. PSA does not accept food stamps. Womp womp. Thank you, Chud. Appreciate that. Stratagem Branch for 5 says, FN says, well, would you look at the time? It's time for something new. It's time for something cool. It's time for another AR. I'm interested, okay? If it is a novel, if it's not just an AR piston gun, if it's something a little special, like I'm always down for something new, you know, something cool. Is it going to be revolutionary? No, but it might be a little different. Might be different enough to be interesting. Bullshark for 5 says, hey, FN, change the M249s to open bolt for the US market, then we will be good. Well, they can't, right? There's something about open bolts in the US market that you literally can't own or sell them, right? Am I crazy? That's right. Right? You can't sell open bolts in the US. Like it's really hard to, unless it's like a pre-86 pre-registered machine gun or something. So I don't even know if that's something they could do. And you got to remember, it's all of these companies that are importing things. Not only do they have to get through ATF import restrictions, they have to get through their own country's export restrictions too. So they got to get through both of those before the civilian market can even get a taste of something. Zanyco for 2 says, I'm an hour late. Please forgive me. You are forgiven, my son. Thank you. Art Vandalay for 5 says, my first gun was a Remington 1100 from the 60s that I bought used at Cabela's. That Remington died a long time ago. Yes. What we have now is Remington in name only, not much more. Thank you, Art Vandalay. Appreciate you, sir. Crack Viking for 10 says, ran 530 rounds through 4 of the new Glock 34 X's 48 Met mags. So the metal mags. Yeah. Flawless, half and half, both pistols. Between both pistols. Wait, through 4 or through 2? So I'm confused. Did you run 530 rounds total, or did you run 2,120 rounds total? Or did you mean to say 2 and you only ran 1060 or 530? Either way, I'm glad to hear that. I actually prefer, I know that some people have had issues with the Mech-Gar Glock magazines, but I actually prefer running them. They're easier to load. I feel like they reload better because they're a little thinner. I just like handling the Mech-Gar metal mags a little bit more. Thank you. Zanyco for 2 says, John, stop looking at my caboose in my PFP. Gotcha. Can't do it. Kravac Viking says, pull it up. Where'd it go? Gosh dang, I hate how far down it goes. Says 530 rounds total, 4 mags, 2 guns. Okay, I got you. 4 magazines, 2 guns. Gotcha. Good to hear. Chips Devil for 2 says TKND. TKND. Totally night. I don't know. TKND. There's got to be something there. Thank you, Chips Devil. I appreciate that. But Monty Igley for 2 says James Talaricos told me his bull is a GM. That might be possible. Oh no. Thank you, Bomani Igloo. Zanico for 2 says idea at shot. Focus chat rents entire hotel floor. That could be fun. I mean, last year there was like 5 of us in an Airbnb. So I mean, we could probably expand that to 10 or 15. Thank you, Zanico. Appreciate that. Corn Pop's Revenge becomes a new YouTube channel member. It popped up twice. I don't know if that's intentional, but oh well. Battle Rifles for 2 says non-foul people are normies, and that's fine. But yeah, hold this. That was funny. Again, I don't think I've ever shot a foul. I've worn your shirt a lot, Battle Rifles, but I don't think I've ever shot a foul. It's true. Thank you, Battle Rifles. I appreciate that. The Best Badness 426K or K6 for 5 says off topic, sorry, but how do I convince a boomer that PSA and Bear Creek arsenals are not as good as BCMs or Geisley? Well, this is an age-old question, right? How do you convince anyone of something they don't want to be convinced of, right? So, like, let's talk about assembly, okay? So let's just put the parts themselves aside for the moment, okay? Which one do you think is better assembled? One that is assembled by somebody making minimum wage or below minimum wage if they're an illegal immigrant, or somebody making like $25 an hour, right? Somebody that goes, a gun that goes through like 1 QC check or like 7 QC checks, right? You say, okay, well, probably the one that goes through more QC checks and has multiple people looking over it and test firing before shipping and all that. Well, at least that, even if the parts are the same, okay, assembly is probably a little bit better. And then you can go through like every single one of the components and be like, well, you see this barrel is chrome line, cold hammer forged, taper profile, pinned gas block. Like, well, this is pretty good, right? You can show them the accuracy, figures from like, go to Preston Moore and to go to some sort of comparison there to see, what the accuracy difference is. You can show them how it's gassed better. There's lots of like things you can do about that. You can talk about the coatings on the BCG. You can talk about how they have a specific, in Geisley's case, they have a specific blend of Carpenter 158 Plus that is theirs, right? So it is actually enhanced material. I mean, there's so many ways you could do it, but if somebody does not want to be convinced, they're just going to blow all that off. So listen, arguing with somebody who is a fool makes you a fool, okay? There's lots of people that you can argue with and you can actually come to some sort of agreement or you can come to some sort of understanding, but arguing with a fool just makes you a fool. So in that case, it's probably a sunk cost. For lost cause, I should say. Thank you, the best badness 426K. Just Some Space Cowboy for 10 says, what's a man got to do to get a good foul in this day and age? Fork out a lot of money. That's what you got. Also, hope you're doing well, man. I have a bunch of extra 40 behind me that I got in. I don't think I'm going to be able to blow it all before I leave for 2 weeks, because I am going to be on vacation for 2 weeks. I'll still be streaming and stuff, but I will be leaving your 40 behind. Thank you, Space Cowboy. Appreciate that, sir. Bullshark for 5 says, not sure how many other barrel companies chrome lined their barrels, but FN does for longevity's sake for pours. Well, I know their machine gun barrels are double chrome lined, right? So it's like a full thou thickness or something like that. For you chrome nerds out there, for you chromers out there. So, I mean, again, that's why FN barrels do have a good reputation, and deservedly so. Deservedly so. All right, now, let me check real fast, make sure we're clear. Over on Rumble, O. Jarrett says, please make the text bigger. I'm trying to drive. Thank you, O. Jarrett. I hope I'm not causing you to crash. That would be awful, but I'm glad you're doing well over there. Hopefully you make it home safe and sound, okay? I'd feel a little bad if you didn't make it home. All right. Let's see here. Where was I at? I lost my place. Let's get into some rage bait, shall we? Okay. Rage against the dying of the light, or the dying against your citizens by Chinese drivers. Anyway, so this is from Brandon Herrera. Eagle Pass is in my district. Keeping our border secure is imperative to national security as well as preserving our country. I want to continue to help secure our border and keep it secure. My opponent wants it open. That is insane. So, this is from Insider Wire. 6 quote unquote special interest Chinese nationals wearing camouflage apprehended near Eagle Pass, Texas. Now, this to me is like, that's a funny image. Oh, hello. We don't know how we got here. This isn't a dog meat market. We so sorry. It's a funny image on the side there, but it's like you have 6 military age males, quote unquote, maybe one foid wearing camouflage coming into your country. And then you have, like, Chinese biolabs and other stuff operating inside of your borders. And you're like, I don't know, man. Maybe these people have nefarious intent. Maybe they don't wish the best for my country and my people. Maybe they should be treated as spies. Maybe they should be treated as, foreign combatants, I don't know. I feel like if our own people get treated the same way when they do untoward things in other countries, I feel like these people should not just be given a pass. It seems prudent that we would use discretion when dealing with, again, military age foreign males coming into our country wearing camouflage, when, again, we have all this sort of subterfuge going on in our own countries, and we're kind of locked in sort of a economic battle, if not a hot battle, of course. Now, on top of that, this is a tragic story and terrifying. And dude, anything that has to do with heavy machinery, like I want Asian drivers and Indians just far away from it, okay? Anything that has to do with heavy machinery, whether it's a train, whether it's industrial, whether it's a bus, whether it's a semi-truck, I just want Asian drivers and I want Indians just a million miles away from that. No, thank you. Nope, not here, okay? This is a civilized country. Or was. Breaking. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy confirms the driver of the bus that crashed into a line of cars in Virginia, killing 5 and injuring 34, is a Chinese national who became a U.S. citizen and doesn't speak English. He got a CDL from Democrat Kathy Hochul's New York. So U.S. citizen that does not speak English. Is he just like memorizing the tests because that's what they're good at? Good at like a basic recall? Well, thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Sending their best. All right. Now, moving overseas for a moment, here is another. Well, actually, no. We'll keep it in the U.S. for the moment. We'll save the British stuff for a little bit later, just because that will allow us to segue or segregate ourselves better in terms of the timeline. Now, here is something that happens all too often. Okay, if you're black and you're like stupid, some would say it's redundant. Some would say, right? You can just pretend to be insane and you will essentially get off scot-free. Acquitted due to insanity. Santa Cisse just acquitted in Seattle. Again, my hometown area, just absolutely degenerate liberal hellhole, just acquitted in Seattle for an unprovoked fatal stabbing in 2023. Migrant with 28 prior arrests. Let me get the judge on there. Let me get the judge on there. Let's see about that. So, man who stabbed a stranger to death in Capitol Hill acquitted by reason of insanity. In what world is that justified? Just running up to somebody, stabbing them to death. Oh, you're too insane to stand trial. So when you get out in, when you say that you feel better in 5 to 10 years, you can just go out. You can just go hang. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. But again, this seems to only apply to ethnics, right? That's the problem. One of the many problems, right? Is ethnics use this as an excuse to essentially be criminals, do crime, kill people, murder people, rape people. And then when consequence comes knocking, some liberal judge somewhere is like, well, he's had a hard life and he's really stupid. He's really stupid. He might even be insane. It's like over in the UK where they were like, these migrants just don't understand in their culture that we don't rape here. Stop raping, sir. They just don't get it. It's just cultural differences here. Just a lot of cultural differences going on in our streets. In Seattle, a King County man charged with stabbing a stranger to death in downtown Seattle in 2023 was found not guilty by reason of insanity last week and will be sent to a state psychiatric hospital instead of trial, according to court documents. Prosecutors say defense attorneys jointly asked the judge to accept the insanity plea of Sana Casey, 29 years old, 28 prior arrests. Again, it's 1 per year. That's the average, guys. These people, loose term, get arrested once per year. Like that is literally the average, is once per year. 28 prior arrests, 29 years old. In the killing of Fontaine Jackson, acquit him on first-degree murder charge and commit him to the custody of the State Department of Social and Health Services for treatment. Yeah, you get treated. The treatment should be like 115 grains of lead. Pretty simple. The agreement was outlined in a memorandum filed May 14th by the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Prosecutors say Casey stabbed Jackson multiple times on July 4th, 2023. Court documents state that there was no evidence that the men knew each other before that night. Witnesses told investigators that Casey chased Jackson with a large knife and continued stabbing him after he fell to the ground. Like, this is just straight up demon behavior, right? This is straight up animal behavior, right? Man's down on the ground, bleeding out, and you're just like hooping and hollering, chimping out, some would say, just stabbing him to death. Oh, he's insane though. Don't worry, he's insane. We just got to let him out. We can't try him. We can't punish him. That would be unjust. One witness recalled Jackson yelling, "Why are you doing this? I don't even know you." Oh, it ain't gonna help you, bro. After the attack, prosecutors said Casey walked away from the scene carrying his belongings before being arrested nearby. According to the memorandum, he later told detectives he stabbed Jackson because he wanted to end his suffering. That's a demon speaking. The filing says concerns about Casey's mental health emerged earlier in the case. Defense attorneys raised competency issues several months after his arraignment, and the court ordered multiple competency restoration periods before finding him competent to stand trial. Psychologists who evaluated Casey, or CSAY, diagnosed him with schizophrenia, spectrum disorders, substance abuse disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder. Wait, so is being an alcoholic or being a drug addict, is that that's a mental disorder now? So you can just claim mental insanity? Like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I can't be committed. I can't be tried for any of my crimes. I have a substance abuse disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder from what? You're a migrant in America, and you obviously shouldn't be here. You obviously don't add any value to us at all. Post PTSD, it's like you're not a veteran as far as I'm aware. It's not like you're suffering from any real mental health issues. You're a homeless crackhead. Okay, it's not a mental health issue. You're a homeless crackhead. Evaluators also documented paranoid delusions, auditory hallucinations, and belief that people were trying to kill him. 3 mental health experts, 2 retained by the defense and 1 who evaluated Casey for the state, concluded that he was psychotic at the time of the killing and unable to distinguish right from wrong. Well, again, unable to distinguish right from wrong is literally just a certain IQ level. At some point, you're just too stupid to understand what you're doing. of mental illness, the filing states. One evaluator wrote that Cisse believed he was acting under command, hallucinations telling him to kill Jackson or be killed himself. The evaluator concluded that although Cisse understood the nature of his actions, he lacked the capacity to distinguish right from wrong. Again, too stupid to understand what he's doing, therefore no punishment. And it only goes one way. It only goes one way. The memorandum also stated the evaluator found that Cisse currently poses an elevated risk of future violence. 28 prior arrests. Because of his mental illness, history of violence, substance abuse, and lack of stable support systems. No, maybe he's just a retarded, violent animal. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe it's not the system. Maybe it's not just a poor upbringing. Maybe he's just a retarded animal. Like, maybe it's just that simple, okay? Some people just aren't that smart. Some people don't have discernment. Some people are high time preference. Some people are low impulse control, okay? They seem to have certain tendencies that align over and over and over and over again, okay? Maybe they shouldn't be walking around among us ever. According to state records, Cisse had been arrested 28 times prior to the killing, mostly for assaults. Does anyone think that you could assault somebody like 5 times and not get arrested with a prison sentence, okay? Most of us would be lucky to get off with one assault, like one assault, it's your first offense, no history of criminality. It's like, okay, well, maybe, you get a light sentence, you get a plea deal, you get out immediately, or, reduced sentence, whatever it might be, right? 2 times, 5 times? No way. No, you're going away. You're serving big time, bro. This guy's only 29 years old. 28 arrests for assault and harassment. You shouldn't be allowed in public. You shouldn't exist. What the heck is your problem? Before the stabbing, Cisse's most recent run-in with the law was a felony harassment and assault for an indecent exposure in the 2022 near 3rd and Pine Street. So again, just before his 2023 stabbing. Court records in the case state Casey told the victim he would kill him and then repeatedly hit the victim in the head with a rubber mallet over a disagreement of the price of cigarettes he wanted to buy from the victim. So again, is this out of his mind, or is killed for a pack of cigarettes, arguing about the price of a pack of cigarettes? This doesn't seem insane to me. This seems like you have a murderous animal who wanted a pack of cigarettes at a certain price. The other guy says no. They have a disagreement, and he murders him. Low impulse control, high time preference, and he just murders him for a pack of cigarettes. Like, that seems pretty cut and dry. Under Washington law, defendants acquitted by reason of insanity can be committed to a state psychiatric hospital if they are found to pose substantial dangers to others. With the judge's acceptance of the plea deal, Casey has been acquitted of murder by the reason of insanity and will be committed to the state mental hospital for treatment rather than sentenced to prison. So yes, he can eventually regain his ability to walk among us if a liberal psychiatrist says, you know what, you're cured now. We've found that out. You're now healthy to rejoin society, and I'm sure you won't immediately commit another crime because you're an evil, disgusting monster who should not be walking among us. All right, a little bit lighter news. This is funny to me, or at least ironic to me. So we have our 250th anniversary coming up shortly, right? Coming up in like 5 weeks, roughly, give or take a little bit. And this is the the possibility of Donald Trump being on the $250 bill, which is quite funny to think about. And the top comment is, again, just make gas $1.99 again. Yeah, that's actually all we want. We don't care about the hullabaloo. We don't care about your legacy. We don't care about your face on a dollar bill. We would actually like our streets to be safe, our borders to be closed, and 100 million immigrants to be deported, and gas to go down, of course. We'd like all of those things. Please and thank you. Your face on the $250 bill is so far down the line as to not even be noticeable. It's not even going to register on my list of priorities. Theoretical Fitness says the $250 bill is the new $100 bill due to inflation. Womp, womp.
How long until we see your signature next to President Trump's face on a $250 bill?
Well,
again, as Treasury Secretary, I have 2 mandates for U.S. currency. At present, no living person can be on U.S. currency, and the currency must say, "In God we trust." So right now there is proposed legislation that in front of the House, in front of the Senate, to change the first requirement so that a living person, Donald J. Trump, could be on a $250 bill. So it's all in the hands of the, it's all up on Capitol Hill. So at Treasury, we prepare things in advance. So we have prepared in advance that if the legislation is passed, but we will stick to the law.
How long until we?
It is the ego, isn't it? That Trump is trying, people on the inside are like, you know what? Americans are hurting, 52% of American jobs in the last 20 years have gone to foreign born people, not to actual Americans, right? As opposed to doing anything to help those people, he's like, it's really pressing on my mind right now for the 250th anniversary. We need to pass something through the Senate and the House that says Donald J. Trump can be on the $250 bill because I'm not dead yet. And I don't want to live in a world where Donald J. Trump is not on the $250 bill. It's not that in and of itself it's problematic. Like, I don't care. I don't care if a president is on a dollar bill. It's better than, some black queen from history. That's better than that, I suppose. But it's just the list of priorities, the timing of it all. Americans are suffering under inflation, heavy gas prices. The price of everything is rising rapidly. Young Americans can't buy homes, so on and so forth. The job market sucks for American-born people. And Trump's concern is, well, what if we slam a bill through the House and Congress that says I can be on the face of the $250 bill for our 250th anniversary? Yes, please. Please and thank you. That's what I need right now. Very nice. I'm glad that's what he is concerning himself with right now. All right, let me grab this real fast. Well, let's do a little bit lighter story before we get back into the heavy stuff. So, you know the term a cob, right? All cops are bastards. But what about a cog? All cops are gay. This is the River City PD with a trans poop gay colored cruiser, because that nothing shouts tolerance like being arrested for hate speech in a gay trans coded, not even coded, colored car of color from River City PD. The first sentence here: words are violence. From a police department? From a PD, words are violence? Are you sure about that? The John Cena meme. Are you sure about that? Are you sure? You sure? Words are violence. Please stop harassing the Guardians driving our LGBTQIA, forgot the plus, patrol car. We know it's River County doing this. This is not how River City operates. Please be kind and aware. Your harassment can trigger our Guardians. Chief Saris, they them Thursday. All cops are gay. All cops are gay. It's very funny. Very funny. Anyways, moving on. Now to something a little more real. We have stranded motorist shoots deputy who helped to bring him to hospital. There's a couple of these stories that we've taken a look at over the last couple of months where cop intervenes to somebody overdosing, to somebody stranded, to somebody who needs help, and doing the right job, protecting and serving, so to speak. He then, he then gets shot or gets stabbed or then gets injured by the person, again, loose term, that he's trying to help. And at a certain point, I have to agree with the Supreme Court that these guys actually have no responsibility to help certain types of people, Yeah, girl with the green hair PFP says, yes, stranded motorist. Yes, a new term, a new synonym for blacks. Anyways, stranded motorist shoots deputy who helped to bring him to hospital. LaPorte County Sheriff's Deputy John Samuelson, a 33-year-old canine handler and 12-year veteran of the force, is in critical but stable condition after being shot 3 times inside the emergency room of Franciscan Health, Michigan City on May 23, 2026. Authorities said the suspect, 22-year-old Sherrod L. Grafton Jr., not that he knows his dad, named after him, doesn't know him, of Chicago, has been arrested and charged with attempted murder, battery against a public safety official, and auto theft. Samuelson had been traveling to a training session when he stopped to help Grafton, who was found as a stranded motorist on State Road 2 near Westville, Indiana, and offered him a ride to the hospital for medical care. Again, like doing the nice thing, helping a stranded motorist, taking him to the hospital. Turns out the person that you're trying to help, maybe you shouldn't have. While inside the hospital emergency room, deputies say Samuelson learned of a alleged prior criminal incident involving Grafton in Illinois. When confronted, Grafton allegedly pulled a firearm and shot the deputy 3 times before fleeing the building. He was later arrested in a nearby wooded area minutes after the incident. With no other injuries reported, Samuelson was airlifted to Memorial Hospital of South Bend, where he underwent an 8-hour surgery described as successful, though he remains in critical conditions. Investigators with the Indiana State Police are continuing to review how the suspect was handled before entering the hospital and the circumstances of the initial encounter. Samuelson, who comes from a multi-generational law enforcement family, is the son of a retired police officer and grandson of former LaPorte police chief, adding further attention to the case within the local community. Now, I did pull up the article that backs all of this up as well, but again, it's just, he's very lucky, I will say. He's very lucky to have been shot inside the hospital, right? So he figures out that this Grafton guy has a prior on him, takes a look at his ID, runs his ID, something like that, gets shot 3 times, gets shot inside of a hospital, right? Which is like, if you're going to get shot somewhere, getting shot inside of a hospital, inside of the emergency room, probably not the worst place ever, right? In fact, probably one of the best places to be shot if you had to. There we go.
Deputy is in critical condition after he was shot inside an emergency room this morning. Authorities say Deputy John Samuelson had stopped to help a man he thought was a stranded driver, but investigators say that man later pulled out a gun and shot the deputy. Christian Farr's Live Force in Michigan City with an update on the investigation and the deputy's condition.
Good afternoon, Marion and Alex. That suspect now in police custody. Indiana authorities telling us that they arrested the Chicago man shortly after that shooting. They say he ran out of the emergency room and officers captured him in a wooded area right next to the hospital.
It makes us feel angry. This is a senseless shooting that didn't have to take place.
22-year-old Sherrod Grafton Jr. is the man Indiana authorities say shot LaPorte County Sheriff's Deputy John Samuelson. Indiana State Police say Samuelson was shot at least 3 times by Grafton after taking the Chicago man to Franciscan Health's emergency room in Michigan City. At about 6:45 this morning, authorities say Deputy Samuelson was helping Grafton when his car broke down near Westville. Police say Grafton asked Deputy Samuelson to take him to the hospital for some reason, but just minutes after dropping him off, Deputy Samuelson received information that Grafton possibly committed a crime earlier.
He also returned inside the hospital where an altercation took place in the emergency room between the suspect and himself, which resulted in the suspect producing a firearm and shooting the officer.
Right now, our priority is with Deputy Samuelson and his family. He's married, no children, and he does come from a long lineage of law enforcement. His grandfather was the chief of...
Again, a young man, not too young, right, but longtime veteran of the force, married, doing his job, helping out people that quite honestly don't deserve to be helped. Okay, I'll just go ahead and say it. Some of those people out there don't deserve your help. All right, they really don't. And you're going to put yourself in harm's way for, maybe even, let's just say for the sake of argument, a decent paycheck. Man, I can see why police officers are suffering in the recruitment numbers. I can see why military recruitments are so low. This is the country that you're fighting for. These are the people that you're fighting for. You're protecting and serving. If you're in one of these areas like You're protecting and serving these people? These people? These are your constituents? These people are literally trying to kill you and you're like trying to help them? Like, obviously, I get why it's the altruistic thing to do, and white people tend to have that level of altruism for other people. But it is suicidal empathy, truly.
Police for the city of LaPorte. His father was a retired police officer for the city of Michigan City. Yes, his father is employed at Franciscan in Michigan City in their security unit and was at the hospital at the time.
Now, Deputy Samuelson was flown to South Bend Memorial Hospital. Last we heard, listed in critical condition, a 12-year veteran of the department, also the department's canine handler. Now, Sherrod Grafton is being held in the Porter County Jail. We're waiting to see about charges. Authorities say they may have found the handgun he used to shoot the deputy. We were told that Grafton was not injured in this shooting. Reporting live here in Michigan City.
Well, yeah, got 3 shots off. Fortunately, when dealing with the ethnics, they tend to not be very effective at actually taking people down. They, accuracy by volume, which is something that I employ as well as a mid-tier shooter myself. But still, they're lucky that they are not more capable, right, with their shot placement. Now, this is, we're going to go ahead and hop over to the other side of the world for a moment, because while America might seem bad, and it certainly is in certain places and areas and times due to proximity to certain peoples, the UK is just a special place, isn't it? It's a funny place where everybody either over exaggerates how many Muslim rapists there are there when they say that it's like, majority non-white when it's still, again, more white than America is, or they just pretend that it's a la land and it's the perfect multicultural wonder, Disneyland hippie yaya fest. The truth is, in certain areas with, again, proximity to these people, it's kind of a hellscape. So breaking, 3 teenage boys who raped girls aged 15 and 14 have received fines of $26 each. No jail time, because of course they're far too young to receive any sort of punishment for their rapes. Stop raping, sir. And instead, they've been given tiny little fines for their attempted rape. So public outcry has forced the Attorney General to refer the sentences of 3 teenage boys who were spared jail after raping 2 schoolgirls in separate attacks to the Court of Appeal. The 2 girls, aged 14 and 15 at the time, were raped by 2 14-year-old boys weeks apart in Fordingbridge, Hampshire, with a then 13-year-old also convicted over his role in the second incident. But despite the horrific nature of the attacks, which saw one of the girls gang raped at knife point, with the assaults filmed and one uploaded to social media, all 3 were handed youth rehabilitation orders and walked free from court. Like, if you're 15 years old and you're gang raping with a knife, then filming it and putting it up on social media, like, you just need to be removed from society. If this is how bad you are at 14, 15, 13 years old, you just have to not exist anymore. Like, your lease on life has ended, and we as a society will not tolerate this sort of behavior, whoever you may be, and you have to go away forever, permanently. You are now fertilizer, okay? You're transitioning, okay? Not genders, you're transitioning roles. You are now biomass for the cornfields. You are now biomass for the wheat fields, okay? That is your new role within society. Hashtag fertilizer 2028. The decision by Judge Nicholas Rowland sparked outrage and multiple referrals to the Attorney General under the unduly lenient scheme after he praised the boys, who were all members of the traveler community, for their conduct during the trial, saying they had done very well dealing with the restrictions placed upon them. Very well? Like, good job, boys. You only gang raped a couple times. Good job, though. You listened to us after we slapped you. The outcome of the review, announced by Prime Minister this morning, is that the Court of Appeal will now consider whether the boys' sentences should be increased, meaning they could be handed prison time. I don't think they need prison. Confirming the referral of all 3 sentences today, Attorney General Richard Hermer Casey said there is an epidemic of violence against women and girls in this country. Indeed. He added that the government will not hesitate in taking actions to ensure all women and girls feel safe and have confidence in the justice system. but they will let you bleed out on the side of the road if they think that you're racist while they handcuff you after you get stabbed by a migrant. During a visit to East Sussex today, Sir Keir Starmer said, "I think it's really a distressing case. I think it's distressing for everyone to see and hear about." One of the 3 teenage travelers convicted of rape following a 5-week trial at Southampton Crown Court with the 2 older boys, just 14 at the time, also found guilty of taking indecent images of a child relating to the recordings they made of their attacks. All 3 boys were spared jail despite the horrific nature of the attacks they carried out. The youngest of the 3 boys in the photograph posted on his TikTok account just 2 weeks earlier prior to the rape, which showed him out late at night hunting rabbits and hares with his lurcher dog, a practice known as lamping, a criminal offense. He praised the courage of the victims, but said he found the case distressing as a politician and as a father, as if he cares, considering he was a litigator, right, in his prior life before Prime Minister. Asked specifically about the 2 older boys who committed both rapes, he added, "There are questions about the sentence. The Attorney General has the power to refer a case to the Court of Appeal if the Attorney General thinks that the sentence is too lenient. The Attorney General has now exercised that power, so I can announce that case will go to the Court of Appeal, and that is clearly the right outcome." The Attorney General's office later confirmed to the Daily Mail that all 3 teenagers have had their sentences referred following concerns they were unduly lenient. It comes after one of the girls, who was 15 at the time of the attack, gave a heartbreaking interview to BBC's Laura Kuenssberg, in which she said the sentence handed down was like a rock straight in my face, like those black kids who stuffed rocks in that girl's mouth to stop her from screaming. She added, "What is the point of putting me through that just to say it's fine?" This morning, French rape survivor Gisèle Pelicot said of the victim to speak out in the wake of sentencing, I really salute her strength and the decision she made, because I know that it is an incredibly difficult decision. I'm deeply shocked that the boys were able to, in fact, gain their freedom again when, in fact, the victims are suffering so hard they will never be able to heal. During sentencing last week, the court heard both girls were significantly outnumbered and suffered prolonged ordeals. But Judge Rowland told Southampton Crown Court that he was reluctant to criminalize the teenagers, said they had low IQ. Low IQ? Really? Again, it's like, think about it from a societal perspective, okay? Put aside your queasy stomach for a moment and just think about what needs to be done, okay? If these people, loose word, are raping and gang raping at 13, 14, 15 years old, and they're low IQ, too low IQ to be held accountable, what possible further value could they have to society, right? I mean, let's just be real here. Like, you don't serve any purpose here. You don't serve any real function. Again, fertilizer is the best possible use case for someone like you. He instead imposed youth rehabilitation orders on all 3 boys to run for 3 years for the older youths and 18 months for the youngest, then told them, "None of you need to go to prison today." The judge said they were very young, had low intelligence, and a limited understanding of consent, and were susceptible to peer pressure. His decision sparked outrage across the country, and the government confirmed it had received multiple requests for them to be reviewed. When asked if the judge's decision remarks meant to her, the victim told Mrs. Kuenssberg, "It meant that why did I sit and put myself through the pain of going to court, going through a trial, reliving everything because of evidence, and watching it all happen again? It sort of gave me a sense of what's the point. Like, what is the point in putting me through all that just to say it's fine?" She told how her distresses was worsened after the attack when footage taken by the boys was uploaded to social media, prompting a wave of abuse. Uploading abuse material of a child to social media, like, shouldn't you just be put down for that in and of itself? Not only, of course, the raping is, of course, the worst part, not the hypocrisy of it all, okay? I think the raping is the worst part, personally. There's an epidemic of violence against women and girls in this country, and this government will not hesitate in taking action to ensure all women and girls feel safe and have confidence in the justice system, except if they're Pakistani. Yeah. And it's just another horrible, obvious, terrible thing going on in the UK because people are not willing to do what it takes to get these people to just stop. Just stop. You don't need to be doing this anymore. We don't need you here. You serve no purpose. There's no value that you bring to society. No, thank you. Now, I wonder why they're hiding. Let's go to this one first, so that I save you the jump scare a little bit. Okay, we're firmly into rage bait. So now, police identify Ithaca man charged with fatally stabbing 19-year-old Syracuse native. Now, in your mind, I want you to picture what this Ithaca man looks like. What the heck is a Ithaca man? Ithaca man, you say? What does an Ithaca man look like? What do they behave like? What do they smell like? What do they do? I'm very curious as to this quote unquote Ithaca man. Well, no. Ithaca man, Damian Stewart, charged with fatally stabbing his girlfriend. Toll paid in full, I suppose the kids would say. 20 is charged with fatally stabbing his girlfriend, Brianne Keene, 19 years old, in Cuyahoga Falls, New York. All media outlets have censored the perp's mugshot. Keene's father is lashing out against the mother and two lesbians for allowing her to date a dangerous black man. Oh no. Separated father, not in the house. Two lesbians raising the daughter, dates a black guy. And womp. Cayuga Heights, New York. A 20-year-old man has been charged with fatally stabbing a Syracuse native in a neighborhood near Cornell University campus Saturday, police said. Around 2 p.m., Brian, 19, was fatally stabbed at 709 Road. Damian Stewart of Ithaca was arrested at the scene and charged with second-degree murder. Why second degree? Heat of the moment? Stewart was arraigned on the murder charge and is currently being held in the Tompkins County Jail. Police announced Sunday they were investigating a homicide and had made an arrest. They released no information about where the death occurred, what happened, and who was killed or the suspect. The woman's father, Matt Keene, told Syracuse the Post-Standard his daughter had been stabbed multiple times inside her apartment. Matt Keene said he was told his daughter was alive when police arrived. He said helicopters were requested to airlift her to Syracuse for treatment, but they could not fly due to the weather. Instead, she was taken by ambulance and died on the way. Police confirmed Monday she died on the way to the hospital. Brianne Stacy Keene's father said she was born in Syracuse and split her childhood between Syracuse with her mom and Ithaca with her father, he said. She was a senior at Lena Alternative Community School, a combined middle and high school in Ithaca, her father said. She was scheduled to graduate in June. Many lessons to be taken from this. One, be incredibly careful about who you get together with because they can absolutely wreck your lives and take your children from you. And if they take your children from you, then you're not in their lives enough to protect them from animals like this person on the left. And also, it really helps if you set yourself up for success and do not live in an area with a high density of this thing. You have less likely instances of this ever happening. So that's what I would do. All right. 2 more. 3 more. Apologies. We'll go to this one. Derek Bernstein cut the power of Jenna Salem's home, broke in, raped her repeatedly until he was satisfied, then attempted to decapitate her, but the knife broke while he was attempting to cut her head off. Well, that's a sentence. What a sentence to come from a woman after dealing with this Yakubian abomination on the bottom. She then tried to escape, but he stabbed her with a different knife in the chest, and she lived to tell the story, but spent months in the hospital recovering. Mr. Bernstein has been charged with kidnapping, bodily injury, home invasion, and first-degree aggravated sodomy, criminal attempt to commit rape, criminal attempt to commit murder, false imprisonment, possession of a knife during commission of a felony, and 4 separate aggravated assaults. If you are or know a woman living alone, but particularly in a Democrat city, get a gun, keep it loaded, ready, and accessible, and learn how to use it the only way you have a chance in a situation like this. Or be a victim. It's a choice. Choose accordingly. Again, there is no point. There's just no point, no reason ever one of these things in proximity to you. Like, why? Why? What? physiognomy is a real thing, okay? The East has perfected physiognomy. You know, they have like it built into all of their cameras and with their whole criminology studies and whatnot. Like they can tell when a Chinaman is going to commit crime. Okay, now apply that same technology, but to the American population, and I think we can quickly delineate who is not going to be a problem.
A woman shares her story of survival after she was attacked in a home invasion in DeKalb County.
The suspect remains in the DeKalb County jail with no bond.
Drawing this guy is a hate crime in like 9 countries. I mean, look at that. Look at that. He looks like a Klingon with the center ridge down his forehead. Like he looks like a Klingon. He looks like a Klingon and a fish had coitus. And then this is the product of that arrangement. Right? Am I crazy? This is half catfish, half Klingon.
On multiple charges. Let's get out to Fox 5's Ray Urena live at the jail with her story. Ray?
Jenna Salem tells me that she is grateful to be alive after she successfully defended herself against an alleged home invader while being severely hurt.
Well, Predator is a double entendre, isn't it? Star Wars Cantina vibes, next season of Star Trek.
All this happened while she was trying to complete her residency post-medical school, but I do want to warn you that the details of this story are hard to hear.
Gonna be part of me for the rest of my life. The day that I die.
Look at that. Look at that scar. You want to know how I got these scars? If we were on Rumble, I could say it. Darn to you. You want to know how I got these scars? Batman? One night, a black man tried to rape me, tried to cut my head off with a knife.
Will have this scar on my neck.
Jenna Salem lives with a daily reminder on her neck of a home invasion she survived in late January. DeKalb County police say it happened along Atherton Circle. They say the alleged attacker, Derek Bernstein.
Like every time I look at this thing, I'm like, I don't need the calipers. Like this thing needs to be in a rock quarry somewhere. Like this thing needs to be deported immediately. Like there's no, like if I ever see something like this in public, I'm like, that thing needs to be like, that's not human. Right? This gives me the what's the term for it when something is like just off, right? You just look at them and something is wrong, right? There's a term for it specifically with like non-human humanoids. This guy is giving me that vibe. Like this is not a human. This is not real. That mother effer is not real. Uncanny Valley, that's the one. Thank you. Yeah, this is not a human. This is a Skyrim default character. And not human. I don't know what this thing is.
Apparently cut off the electricity in Salem's rental home prior to the attack.
Immediately, it woke me up from the dead sleep, heavy footsteps in my hallway. My first thing I thought was that, oh my God, someone's in my house.
Salem says she then saw the attacker, who was not wearing a mask, jump on her bed. She says the attacker told her to take off her pants. Instead, she says she used that moment to try to escape, but the front door was locked.
He grabs me with his forearm in a chokehold, and he just starts immediately strangling me as hard as he can. I can't even make a noise. I'm trying to scream for someone to hear me. I can't even make a noise.
After she fought back, Salem says the intruder told her to go into the basement, where she says she was punched several times. When she begged for her life, Salem says the intruder sexually assaulted her. Then Salem says the attacker turned her around and grabbed her in another chokehold.
Something warm and metal on my neck. And as I go up and reach, in the second I touch it and realize it's a kitchen knife, he slits.
Salem says she was then stabbed in her chest with a knife, causing a lung to collapse. She continued to fight back, eventually causing the knife to break.
And know that I can't falter. I can't be weak. I can't lose my strength in this moment.
After another struggle, Salem says she ran out her front door and got it.
I mean, people are saying it in the chat, but this does appear to be a Semitic origin woman. Still a very traumatic event, and I wish a very quick wood chipper to the gentleman.
A neighbor to call for help. Medics transported her to Grady Memorial Hospital, one of the places she worked during her residency. Months later, Salem continues to recover from the attack, but now with a new purpose.
I just feel so strongly that the only way that violence against women is ever going to stop happening, or that people are going to recognize that it is happening the way that it is if we speak out. When survivors can speak out when they feel comfortable.
Yeah, women who say we got to work on violence against women in this country. This country hates women, and then they vote to import 40 more million of these people, and you're like, you're just too retarded to vote. I'm sorry. This thing would not be here if we were a more serious country. Okay, we could solve all of your problems, but unfortunately, part of the problem is you. So we're gonna just stop you from voting.
And empowered to, and I do. I feel so strongly people need to know that this happened to me.
DeKalb County Police say that Bernstein was arrested not far away from Salem's rental home following the attack. Jail records show he has another hearing scheduled for next month. As far as Salem, she says she's getting ready to move to another state to start another new job. Reporting.
Good for her. Well, anyways, yeah, the Stop Asian Hate was like really big for about 5 minutes. And then they were like, oh shoot, it is black people attacking Asians. Oh no, we should stop this. This makes us look really bad. This makes us look really, really bad. So we're just going to stop it now. We're just going to pretend that it didn't happen. We're going to ignore it. We're going to stop now. And we'll move on and just forget that little oopsie doopsie ever happened. Okay. All right. Now, let's go ahead and get to our last one. Okay. Because of all of the problems, of all of the terrible things that we've seen over the last hour or so of Rage Bait, there's one thing that is perhaps scarier than all of them. Okay. And that is a black female judge being given power over your sentencing. Okay, if I see this thing in the courtroom, this clip is going to be played, and I'm just going to be screwed. It's just going to be over, bros. Throw me away, lock the door, life in prison. Yeah, I get it. It's so over, bros. Anyways, an Alabama judge, I hate Alabama judges, has reportedly been suspended amid allegations of racial comments about a white clerk. What you mean it's a judicial misconduct? I'm really a whole ass judge, though, for real, like, she, man. My name, Laquifa Shanisha. She, dawg, man. I finna twerk up in this courtroom and she. Tiernan beat me to it. Thank you, Tiernan. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Anyways. Get that off my screen. Black judge suspended for allegedly making racist comments about a white employee. Can't help themselves. An Alabama judge was indefinitely suspended after the state's judicial inquiry commissioned a 120-page complaint against her, listing a series of allegations, including making racist remarks about white people. Jefferson County probate judge Yeshiba G. Blanchard, put some respect on my name, a black woman, is under scrutiny due to issues with how she has conducted herself in court with her coworkers. The complaint outlines a long list of allegations. The complaint alleges that Blanchard directed a racist remark at Chief Clerk Amanda Reed, who is white, Amanda Reed, sorry, this is just black jealousy going after some white girl. Shortly after taking office, a new staff member told the judge she enjoyed working with the clerk. Blanchard replied, "Oh, I forgot, you all like kissing white ass. You're a judge? Well, that's the thing. You can call yourself a judge, but listen, we know what you are. No makeup, no hairdo, no judge robes. Nothing will hide what you actually are. No. Call yourself what you want." This appears to have been the beginning of a pattern of the judge targeting Reed. She allegedly moved the clerk's desk to a less desirable position after she cooperated with the investigation into the judge's conduct. Jefferson County probate judge Yeshiba G. Blanchard. Don't leave out the G. So sad. Blanchard is also accused of failing to hold any involuntary mental health commitment hearings in the first 9 months of her term, which created a massive backlog that left about 120 patients languishing in hospitals. because you're a lazy, no good person who is person loosely, who just wanted to use the position for power and for clout. Like, we got clout chasing judges before GTA 6, y'all. The complaint says she was frequently late to court proceedings. It's so good. It's so good, right? Every time. It's so good, right? She's late. She's jealous of white girls. She does her hair like a white girl. She lightens her skin like a white girl, of course. It's just so perfect, isn't it? The eubonics, all of it. It's so good. It's perfect. The complaint, hey, somebody said she's just like me. You take that back. you take that back, okay? We only have the late in common, that's all. We're just late together, okay? That's fine. One thing, okay? Just because we have, that's like some sort of fallacy. Just because we share one trait doesn't mean we share all traits, okay? Jeez. The complaint says she was frequently late to court proceedings and often canceled them with little notice. In one instance, she told staff she was delayed, because she had 3 dogs to walk. Blanchard is also alleged to have cultivated a hostile work environment. According to the complaint, she is said to have told staff she was the ultimate authority with no boss. She threatened employees against reporting her to Human Resources and ignored a transfer request from a clerk who needed to visit her sister who was dying from cancer. Just a bitch. Damn, what is your problem? The judge is also accused of showing bias against certain attorneys and failing to recuse herself in cases in which she previously served as an attorney. What you mean conflict of interest and shit? It's in my interest to get these guys. Shit. The list goes on, but even if 5% of these allegations are accurate, Judge Blanchard has no business being on the bench. If the Court of Judiciary determines that the claims are valid, the judge could face severe disciplinary action, including permanent removal, which is exactly what should happen. Yeah, Yeshiba G. Blanchard should Yeshiba get out the way, okay? Can I borrow a fry? Can a nigga borrow a fry? Is a nigga gonna give it back? No, of course not. Of course not. Anyways, let's get to your guys' support and get out of here, okay? I know I was late and everything, but I'm going to get out early, just like the black queen I am. Lightspore for 2 says, good luck, everybody. I turn now. True. Thank you, Lightspore. Appreciate that. Scary out there driving, isn't it? Lightspore for 2 says, man, I hate insanity, please. Thank you, Lightspore. Bullshark for 2 says, why did you join the army, son? To rape, to kill, and to rape. Thank you, Bullshark. Ryan Vargas for 5 says, new American on ankle monitor, unalived, a woman in my county, Santa Barbara. New American, huh? The new American, an ankle monitor man. Dude, that's the new one. Ankle monitor man. Thank you, Ryan Vargas. I appreciate that. Amroy Boy for 2 says, no, Lightspore in Central Sands. Listen, man, like, that's the thing. Like, I could never be a police officer because obviously my history would stop me from that. But even if I were, like, if they ever had to do something gay and retarded like this, I'm like, you're all a bunch of queers. Tragic. Zanico for 2 says, cop shot like 20 minutes from me. Dark man. You know, it's like, yeah, it's a stereotype, but maybe the stereotypes are effective for a reason. LARPer for $20 says, I hate stranded motorists.
Sorry, I don't speak monkey. Banana.
Thank you, LARPer. That's very kind of you. Thank you for the 20. Chud for 2 says, too many choices. Your quote unquote people are primitive and violent. Well, see, that's the thing, Chud. I would just say that's objectively true. Like, too many choices. Like, Africans in general are less technologically advanced and they have a high time preference and low impulse control in a general sense. That's just like objectively true. Am I crazy? Thank you, Chud. I appreciate that. Zanico for 2 says, my wife, is that me on the 250? Damn, that looks way better. Okay, maybe I'm stroking my own ego here. But doesn't me in quad nods look way better on a 250 than Donald Trump? Okay. I think that's way more fitting. Thank you, Zanico. My wife goes to that hospital for work. I hate it. I am sorry to hear that, Zanico. That is sketchy AF. Thank you, Zany. Ryan Vargas for 2 says UK is now children of men status. Rip baby Diego. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan Vargas. I appreciate that. Jim Eagle for 2 says blood got level 4 plates instead of a frontal lobe. Yes, he has that skull physiognomy is something special. Castigar for 2 says, remember, women vote for more gun control. Yes, women vote for more gun control, more immigrants, less immigration restrictions, less police. And they're like, why is my neighborhood so violent? Where are the police? What is going on? Why is everything so bad in my area? Continues to make it worse and worse. It's like, okay, bro. Thank you, Castigar. Bullshark for 5 says, have you read Sword and Scimitar by Raymond Ibrahim? I finished it and I'm on Defenders of the West. I know the book that you are referring to. I have not personally read it, Bullshark, so it needs to go on my list. Too Many Choices says you don't know where I'm from, but he's black, so I know he's from Africa. That just is what it is. It's like, I'm white. You know where my origins have to be, from somewhere in Europe for the most part. Thank you, Bullshark. Appreciate that. It's like me saying, oh, Chinaman living in the U.S. It's like, obviously, I know where your origins are, like where your genetic origins are, not like what town you were born in, right? If I was born in Tokyo, I wouldn't be Japanese ethnically, like genetically, right? All right, let's go ahead and make sure that was it. Oh, Jarrett, our favorite drunk driver, says, survived the drive. Can't say the same for that family in the school zone. Bedtime. Christ is king. God is good. Have a great night, gents. You too. I hope everybody's having a great Friday night out there. I like these Friday night streams. They're low key. They're chill. They're relaxed. I ain't finna do much. I just kind of hang out. I go over the news. I collect all the rage bait for all you guys. We hang out. We have a good time. And, you know, no guests, no 2.5 hour debates on religion. Nothing like that. Just kind of relax, you know, kind of good for the soul every now and again. Speaking of good for the soul, oh, Berg switching on for $20, forgets to add anything to it, drops it on the table, walks away.
Get the fuck out.
Bro, if you did you want a big toe money for that? What did you want for that? I feel bad. He dropped $20 and didn't even say anything, bro. Oberg, if you want something, let me know, man. Damn. What did Jake say? What is the funniest thing that Jake ever said? I gotta find it now. I'm curious. I'm feeling EP, Jake. That was the funniest truth nuke I ever heard. Where is he? Mitt Rhombus comes in with the technicality. Actually, there's like a few 100,000 from Australia and Papua New Guinea. Okay, all right. And there's 1 billion from Africa. Yeah. Technically speaking. Sure. I don't see what Jake said that was funny, but fair enough. But you can play the thing if you want. Oh, okay, fine. Here we go. We no stream is complete without a big toe money.
This is a song of the summer shit. You know it's funny. Walk on stage with no shoes on. All I need is feet, boy, I'm too gone. Hey, take money, big toe money. This is a song of the summer shit. You know it's funny. Walk on stage with no shoes on. All I need is feet, boy, I'm too gone. My feet feel good. Your feet where they should. Y'all just sitting in the grass with a cigarette. Take money, big toe money. That's a bigger check. Walking in, everybody.
And look at that, Cody 1XP coming in on Ko-Fi. Let me pull that up real fast. Fine. I'll stick around as long as you guys want me to for $14. Funny number. Says, leaving us early on Friday is very Jewish. Here's some shekels. Well, thank you very much for that, Cody. I appreciate that. It's not super Jewish. It's just a little Jewish. You know, it's ironic, Cody. If you want to save a bunch of money, if you just send $14 to Ko-Fi, it actually works out that I get more and you spend less than if you do $20 on YouTube every time. It's way more cost effective, okay? Trust me, bro. Trust me on this, bro. All right. No Dugan news as of today. I did have a phone call with Dugan on Wednesday. So other than that, I don't have any updates. I did text his wife today, and he's speaking with a lawyer trying to get that done. So there will be updates soon. I hope. It was supposed to happen yesterday. It didn't happen yesterday, but court proceedings being what they are and trials and jails being funny business stuff, there will be updates and stuff going on in there. As soon as I have it, you will have it, okay? As soon as I have the updates, you will have the updates. I assure you. All right. Well, what else was I going to do? There was something else I was going to do. Oh, yeah. I got to get to these super chats because I forgot to get to them last week and or Wednesday, and I feel bad. That was very silly of me. And some of them are funny. Okay, because I missed a bunch of you. So, Bardic Psycho last week says, last night, I successfully ran my first USPSA match without getting DQ'd. Very nice. That's always good. Always a good feeling when you don't get DQ'd. I was even complimented a couple times. Also, apparently hitting no shoots drags you near the bottom of the scoreboard. Yes, the thing about USPSA that you have to understand is you do not shoot the white targets. Do not shoot the white targets. White, good. Brown, bad. White, good. Brown, bad. Again, that's not me saying that. That's USPSA rules, okay? Good job, Subarctic Psycho. Appreciate that. Central Sands Defense for 2 says, a stream panel that shall be remembered. Yes, Wednesday's stream was certainly something. Polly B for 5 says, Jaden in this stream, speaking little, hearing much, judging with the cold, blue-eyed Aryan stare most. Yes, Jaden did good. You know, what he did say, had meaning. Lightspore for 2 says, Leaf, you're allowed to blink, big dog. Leaf was a good sport, though, okay? For being a Mormon on a very Christian panel, he got a little bit of heat, but he was a good sport about it. Zanico for 2 says, I couldn't hear anything, LOL. Well, I know people couldn't figure out how to get StreamYards working for him, and it just is what it is. Sorry, bro. But you were technically on the stream. Don't forget that. Agardis for 5 says, I love y'all coming from the pagan sitting here listening to Christian discourse. Well, we love you too, but paganism is cringe. Okay, Agardis, paganism is a little cringe. Central Zan's Defense for 2 says, idea, you all just hug it out so I can go to sleep. Oh, we'll hug it out. Hugs and tugs, you know what I'm saying? Leafy for 2 says, thanks for letting me on again. Let me on again sometime. Of course, Leafy. I appreciate it. Thank you much. We'll talk about something other than just Mormonism, okay? It'll not be the Mormon grill session. The Mormon Inquisition, Jim Eagle says. Or Lindsey Graham, I should say. Rich for 2 on Rumble says, we all agree the Boogaloo movement was a Fed op, right? There's always Fed involvement in this stuff. That's the problem, is what's authentic, what's organic, and what's not is often very difficult to actually tell, right? So, with all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out, for spending the time, for spending your Friday night with me. I know that you probably didn't have a lot going on to begin with, but I do truly appreciate the support, hanging out. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. Next week, I'll be leaving. So I'll be filming from an Airbnb in Washington State. That decrepit hellhole, okay? I'll be shooting a match with Krogs and Logan while I'm over there, doing some other fun stuff, but I will be hopefully working. I bought Starlink so that I could go wherever and still have decent enough internet to actually stream. So I'll still be streaming, still be working on videos and stuff like that. Everything will be going as it should. Target Focus Group for 5 says, can we set up a fundraiser for Craig Sawyer to help fund his Vets for Child Rescue Company? They catch child predators. Target Focus Group, if you could send me a DM or an email about that, I'd be happy to get involved in some way. So, but please send me something on that so we can get that set up, because it's more difficult to do that over a YouTube live chat. But thank you very much, Target Focus. I appreciate that. Anybody helping remove people who should not be existing from our society is doing good in my book. So with all that out of the way, gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Still get out there, get after it, hang out with the fam, talk to the boys, do something productive with your time. As always, God bless. Christ is King. Godspeed out there.
The glamour waking up. Shut it down. Me mom died in a Harley. Me pa was killed by Stalin. Me mom died in a Harley. Me pa was killed by Stalin. Ay, they got lined up by Stalin. For my daddy in a coffin. I'm a Jew, Finkelstein. My uncle, my grandma was lying. Pulled up on me, mom. Ay, put her in the count. Ay, told her get a word or be turned into a lamb. Me pa was killed by Stalin. Me mom died in a Harley. Me pa was killed by Stalin. Ay, they got slined up my grandma and my aunt in 1945. They were getting fucked up. Stalin put up on me pa. Ay, put him in the count. Ay, then his op sprayed his ass with the fucking child. Me mom died in a Harley. Me pa was killed by Stalin. Me mom died in a Harley. Me pa was killed by Stalin.